first though, have you lost your mind? Hello and welcome to another video where today we'll be discussing what it takes to become an AAT tutor, and in theory this could be a very short video because the actual requirements to teach AAT aren't complicated. In order to teach levels 2 and 3, you'd usually be expected to have completed your AAT level 3 qualification or equivalent from another accounting body. And to teach level 4, as a minimum, you'd be expected to have attained your level 4 qualification. Now, although you could stop watching at this point, I would not, because there are a fair few other considerations to take into account that I'll be running through within this video. Now, as I've already mentioned, the key qualification you'll be required in order to teach AAT would be, as a minimum, the AAT level that you'd like to teach at. However, there are a couple of other qualifications that certainly wouldn't go amiss. You'll often see these as at least desirable on many job applications. The first being some sort of teaching qualification. Now, these do vary in level, however, doing the level 3 award in education and training is a fantastic place to start. This can often be completed within 12 to 18 weeks and gives you a great insight to ways of teaching from a practical perspective. Further on from this, it's possible to complete a certificate in education, which is a level 5 qualification and usually takes 1 year full-time or 2 years part-time to complete. The second qualification, and this applies more if you plan to teach apprenticeships, is an assessor's award. The more popular choices here would be the A1 assessors or TAQA or CARVA. These will allow you to officially assess work completed by your students. Any of these would provide an extremely valuable string to your bow if you're interested in teaching within a further education college or teaching apprenticeships, or both as it may be. Now this brings me nicely on to the next point, which is who, what, and where would you like to teach? When thinking of somebody who teaches AAT, people initially think of being stood up in front of a class, whiteboard at their back, waving a whiteboard pen around, talking about debits and credits, which is possible, but there are other options. If you don't feel confident enough to stand up in front of a class, but would still like to get into teaching, fear not. It's well possible you may be more suited to becoming a distance learning tutor, where the vast majority of support will be through email or phone calls. Or you may want to be in a classroom delivering face-to-face lessons. This can be done at either a private training provider or a further education college, and there are huge benefits to both, just in different ways. The chances are, as a distance learning tutor, you'll have a larger number of learners, and therefore you're helping more people. As a face-to-face tutor, you'll tend to deal with a smaller caseload, but provide greater input to each of your students. It's also worth thinking about which levels you'd like to teach. Although it's possible to teach all 3 levels, it's often the case you'll only focus on 2 levels or even 1, depending on the size of the training provider. Let's also quickly debunk a common misconception, which is level 2 is easier to teach than level 4. As someone who has taught all 3 levels extensively, I can tell you for a fact that teaching level 2 is equally as challenging to teach as level 4, just from very different perspectives. The next thing to consider is your own personality traits, and the absolute must-have, as any teacher will tell you, is patience. Those who have no patience need not apply. It may seem harsh, but the reality of it is, if you aren't a particularly patient person, you'll more than likely just end up frustrated, and let's be fair, nobody really wants that. The next personality trait, if you can call it that, is to have a certain level of thick skin. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be some sort of impenetrable fortress with zero feelings. However, it does not matter how good, how prepared, or how well you know your subject. At some point, someone is not going to like the style in which you teach. It is absolutely inevitable because you can't please everyone, which is fine, but if you are very sensitive, it may be something that you have to work on before going into teaching. Next on the list is money. Ooh, the juicy bit. Who just skipped this part? Reminds me I need to turn off automatic chapters on YouTube. Anyway, if you've heard people say you don't go into teaching for the money, they are categorically correct. Now, salaries do vary greatly, so you'll see some advertised for around 22, 23,000 at the lower end, and at the highest end, you're probably looking at around 40, 42, but the majority will tend to fall somewhere in the middle. Realistically, that's completely up to you as to what you want to earn and whether that is something that you'd be happy with. It's by no means bad pay, but if you're wanting to earn as much as possible, there may be better options. However, it's also worth adding that if you work in a further education college, you'll usually get around 10 weeks annual leave each year, including bank holidays and the Christmas break, although this must be taken during the school holidays. If you work for a private training provider, you'll be entitled to regular annual leave as you would be in any other job, but it can usually be taken more flexibly. And that wraps up my video on becoming an AAT tutor. I hope it's given you plenty to think about, and I do want to assure you that it can be a very satisfying and rewarding career. If anyone has any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments below. And if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more AAT content. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.